If you see a hippo turning its back on you, run immediately. Why does this scare people so much? Watch till the end to find out, and if you think this hippo is adorable, please like and subscribe. Most people know hippos for their massive mouths, but there's something else that's rarely talked about: their poop spraying habit. They don't do this out of dislike, but to mark their territory. And if you don't run immediately, you might end up wearing their territory yourself.
This is a dialogue with Grok on the X platform. Tell me again about the Bitcoin cryptocurrency scammers you said were disrupting honest discussion on X. And here's the reply. And here are the methods they were using. And I then say, tell me about the Stew Peters digital currency in this context. Stew Peters digital currency refers to J-Proof, a Solana-based meme coin he launched in April 2025. So he created this token explicitly marketed as, quote, Jew-proof, close quotes. He positioned it as a supposed alternative to the mainstream financial system, which he claims is controlled by a, quote, Jewish banking cabal, close quotes. In the context of our earlier discussion about crypto scammers disrupting honest discussions on X, J-Proof fits right in as an example of exploitive, ideologically charged crypto projects. Exploitive, ideologically charged crypto projects. It was heavily shilled to Peters' audience, and then the drama unfolded. And here's what Grok says. This is a classic case of how scammy or manipulative tokens exploit trust in niche communities, here blending crypto hype with extremist ideology, leading to financial harm for followers while adding more noise and distrust to broader crypto conversations on platforms like X. It's widely viewed by critics across media like the Forward, Wikipedia summaries, and even some far-right spaces as turning it into anti-Semitism into a monetization scheme. Turning anti-Semitism into a monetization scheme. Profiteering from this propaganda. As always in crypto, extreme caution with anything promoted this way. And I say, typical of the hypocrisy, Stew Peters, in an interview with fellow digital currency pump and dumper Jeff Berwick, blamed the Jews for the dump and crash of his J-Proof or Jew-proof wooden nickels. And the answer is yes, that's a classic example of the pattern we've been discussing with these ideologically wrapped crypto projects on X. In at least one segment or related appearance, Peters and Berwick hyped opting out of the evil empire financial system, with Peters tying it directly to his J-Proof token as a supposed people's coin to escape usury and Jewish banking control. What a bunch of hogwash. J-Proof inevitably crashed. It's built into the system from the very beginning. So of course Peters and Berwick knew this. J-Proof inevitably crashed hard. From hyped peaks down to near worthless levels with accusations of insider dumps, liquidity issues, and rug pull mechanics common in low-cap Solana memes. Peters and his circle deflected responsibilities in familiar ways. Very predictable and very dishonest. And I say the hypocrisy is obvious when you consider that the crash of these systems is built into the systems from the beginning. Am I correct that the initial value of the J-proof scam was zero in standard accountancy and finance terms? In other words, it had the backing of no tangible assets. And the answer is immediately yes, you are correct on both counts. People were sold nothing. They would have been better to buy wooden nickels. Wooden nickels are at least something. This was nothing except numbers in a computer. Numbers which they took away. And how much did they take them away? Well, there it is. Valuation in finance terms. The scam peaked at around 20 cents, $0.20, and then it crashed to near worthless levels, which is about $0.000, I lost track of the zeros there, 75 by early 2026, with a 7.5K market cap and only about 42 holders. Wow. And it was up to where? About $100 million or $200 million being moved around and taken out of somebody's pocket and put into somebody's pocket. Have you figured out where it went? Oh, I know. It all went to the Jews, according to Peters and Berwick. It didn't go to them. Oh, heaven to Betsy. No, they're not getting rich from this. I am going to post this to BitChute where Peters and Berwick hang out as a warning to anybody in future who might buy into this infamy. So I want all the details verifiable as you have given so far. I would close with the note that both men advocate some kind of liberationist doctrine, like libertarian or anarchist, but they deliver egocentric self-gratification in fame, fortune, and fun. The fun of playing people for suckers. What is your closer? And here's the closer of Grok. So, if you're going to sue me for this, Peters and Berwick, sue Grok at the same time while you're at it, because they have really, really deep pockets. And if you're going after the big bucks in litigation, take them in on this. In the end, while Stew Peters and Jeff Berwick preached liberation through libertarian or anarchist ideals, promising freedom from oppressive systems and financial cabals, they've shown their true colors, a pursuit of personal fame, fortune, and the twisted fun of fleecing followers. Sue us for this, guys. Come on, Stew Peters and Jeff Berwick. Let's see what you're made of. Don't let the rhetoric blind you. Real liberation starts with skepticism, due diligence, and steering clear of hype. Hype-driven grifts like J-proof. Stay vigilant, folks. Your wallet and principles will thank you. This is Copilot regarding what does Professor Jeffrey Sachs, a professor of economics at Columbia, I think, whose net worth is said to be $100 million or so. So he's been a pretty astute investor, you might say. Jeffrey Sachs has been sharply critical of Bitcoin, calling it environmentally destructive, socially useless, and even, quote, almost like a counterfeiting. Wow. And then I asked, doesn't Warren Buffett say much the same thing? And the answer is absolutely. Warren Buffett's views line up closely with Jeffrey Sachs' skepticism, though Buffett expresses it with an even sharper bite. Why Buffett rejects Bitcoin. No intrinsic value. It produces nothing. It generates no cash flow. It is pure speculation. He sees it as a greater fool asset, valuable only if someone else pays more later. That is exactly true. It's worth no more than a plug nickel. It is not a currency. He believes it fails the basic tenets of money: stability, utility, and widespread acceptance. And here's a comparison chart comparing the analysis of Jeffrey Sachs and the analysis of Warren Buffett.
We've been talking so much about gold. Maybe let's spend a moment a little bit talking about what people once called digital gold and Bitcoin, and the fact that it really has not fared well since President Trump stepped into office, and despite the fact that this is quite a crypto-friendly administration.
Absolutely. That begs the question, what exactly is Bitcoin and the crypto coin universe, right? As you said, it was touted as the digital gold, a store of wealth, and even a hedge against the debasement trade. But as Michael Berry calls it, it's now clear that it's a speculative asset. And, considering it's fallen 40%, it is kind of signaling huge inflation, hyperinflation, if that is indeed the case, which is not absolutely what's going on. But, the problem with Bitcoin and other crypto coins is if you gave all the Bitcoin in the world to you, what would you do with it? You're going to sell it to look for another buyer, but it has no intrinsic value in and of itself. And that is the problem. When it starts falling, nobody can point out to an intrinsic level and say this is where its support is. And that is a major problem for crypto coins.
This question is asked of DeepSeek. How much money was made from the scam on YouTube which used Prime Minister Carney's voice and image to sell bogus investments? And here is the answer. A precise number is unavailable. These types of scams are designed to be opaque. The criminals behind them use cryptocurrency. Note that. Cryptocurrency. As I've stated before on videos, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, is a fraud. It is a complete fraud. All you are buying is a number. And that number goes around, and if some sucker out there buys the number, he's stuck with it, and it has no value.
This is a plug-and-play Bitcoin mining container that I have had for over 6 months. How has it been going though? Because let me tell you, just like Bitcoin's price, it's been up and down. The 3 big intake vents feed a bunch of air through the exhaust fans out here on the back, 4 of them. All 4 of those combined consume over 3,000 watts. That's basically what a Bitcoin miner costs to run. Just gonna warn you, turn the volume down. It's very loud inside. This is filled to capacity. There's been a few bugs I've had to work out, but it's running great now, and it's earning about $200 per day in Bitcoin.
Gerald, I know you've been writing about this for a long time, but it's all coming together now. The question is, how quickly does it come here?
It could come tomorrow. I mean, think of the word stable coin. Orwell couldn't come up with a better name. Who made up this crap?
This is Copilot. Title: Robo-Trump versus Holy Smoke. Clash at the Klepto Casino. Scene 5, the divine backing. Wiley Wampum, now dressed in a gold lame suit, stitched from shredded tax returns, unveils the final phase of the Genius Act, a marketing blitz claiming that Trump coins, now branded as klepto coins, are backed by all the resources in creation forever. The slogan is etched into slot machines, printed on prayer flags, and tattooed onto the foreheads of crypto influencers. Robo-Trump, glowing with orange radiance and humming with algorithmic arrogance, declares from his podium, which doubles as a tanning bed, "These coins are eternal. They're backed by mountains, oceans, and the dreams of every patriot who ever bought a steak with a coupon. Believe me." Scene 6. Enter Holy Smoke. But not everyone is buying it. From the edge of the sacred fire pit, Holy Smoke, Wopotami medicine man, preacher, and part-time peyote poet. Peyote poet. Rises. Pardon me, it's just a little COVID, which I'm spreading to as many people as I can, especially Granny. Granny's going to get it next, unless she gets another shot like Trump. But I digress. Peyote poet rises in defiance, drapes in feathers and fury. He storms the casino floor, staff in hand, chanting, "Creation is not collateral. You cannot tokenize the thunder." He confronts Robo-Trump in a showdown that feels part Sundance ceremony, part congressional hearing. Holy Smoke accuses the klepto casino of spiritual fraud, ecological theft, and metaphysical laundering. Yeah. Metaphysical laundering. What are you going to do with all that indulgence money that the Vatican gathers? Metaphysical laundering. Scene 7. The clash of faiths. Robo-Trump counters with a PowerPoint presentation projected from his chest cavity, featuring graphs that go up forever and testimonials from sock puppets. Wiley Wampum tries to broker peace by offering Holy Smoke a ceremonial NFT of the Grand Canyon. But Holy Smoke is unmoved. He calls upon the four winds, the Great Spirit, and the class action lawsuit. The casino's lights flicker. The Trump coin vault begins to tremble. A herd of buffaloes stampedes through the poker lounge. Scene 8 to be continued. As the dust settles, Robo-Trump calibrates his ego servers. Wiley Wampum retreats to a bunker filled with gold-plated routers. And Holy Smoke, he begins organizing a counter-currency called Spirit Bucks, backed by actual community trust and the occasional eagle feather. Cartoon style. Think Adult Swim meets indigenous futurism. Trump's voice now includes Gregorian chants and stock market tickers. Holy Smoke speaks in riddles and thunderclaps. The casino is redesigned as a glowing ziggurat of greed. Want to rip the next arc? Maybe Spirit Bucks go viral. Or Trump tries to colonize the astral plane. Let's keep this convoy rolling.
Our investigation into a growing investment trend which goes by the name of crypto. According to some of the glossy images and videos used in promoting it, investment in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin is a way of making big money fast. But crypto investment can be very volatile too, and for some it can become more like an addiction, like gambling or drugs. Around 10% of UK adults have crypto investment assets, and for a few that means risking everything: money, jobs, friends, family. Our Scotland correspondent Peter Smith was given exclusive access to the UK's first and as yet only crypto addiction clinic.
Lost all your money gambling on crypto again? Yeah, you fucked up. But let's be real, you're not the only one. And they call it crypto investing, but let's be real, it's just gambling with worse odds, and there's no free drinks.
stablecoin is another Trump fraud, and it is essentially Bitcoin, which is Bitcon, put into government control and becoming a huge nightmare for everybody in the control and coal grid. And so I've been exchanging some information with the AIs on this, and this is DeepSeek. And I say, now I am worried that Burger World will get word of this, and Butthead will buy a mining machine, data mining machine. They call these the mining machines in the Bitcoin racket, calling his special transactions Buttcoin, of course, over and out. And DeepSeek says this is a magnificent and terrifyingly plausible vision of the future. The board of directors at Burger World undoubtedly see the potential for a paradigm shift in fast food finance. Fast food finance, yes. Yes, it all goes into stable coins. There's the Orwellian term for the big nightmare. And Bitcoin has ushered it in. Let's envision the Burger World and Buttcoin BTT white paper. The tokenomics. One Buttcoin BTT is permanently pegged to the value of one branded burger. This creates immediate utility and stability, the standard. A finite supply of 21 million Buttcoins will be created, mirroring the scarcity of pickles on a busy day. Okay, so DeepSeek also has a sense of humor, like Copilot. Butthead, now Chief Mining Officer, repurposes the fryer vats into immersion cooling tanks for his ASIC miners. The proof of work is replaced with proof of, a consensus algorithm where miners must successfully watch an entire music video without changing the channel. The immediate waste heat from the miners is used to keep the burgers warm, creating a revolutionary closed-loop thermodynamic system. The transaction experience. You, the customer, attempt to buy a burger. You scan the QR code. Your wallet app displays send 0.05 BTT to You hit confirm. The counter employee Beavis stares at the screen. After 45 minutes of waiting for a single confirmation, Beavis looks up and says, is this supposed to say pending? This sucks. A network congestion occurs when someone tries to buy 10,000 burgers at once, causing transaction fees to spike to the value of a whole Baconator combo. Conclusion, your fear is justified. The decentralized, hyper-financialized future may not be built by shadowy supercoders, but by fast food chains and their newly empowered tech support staff. The final grim reality, you still won't be able to get a burger, but now you'd also be out of Buttcoin. Over and out. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, okay, so what happens when the stablecoin owners, and this is, of course, is Trump's genius again, the stablecoin owners in the control system say, we don't like your, we don't like your politics, we don't like the way you think, you've been watching South Park too much, so now we're going to cut off your ability to buy Buttcoins at Burger World. So you can't buy Buttcoins, and you can't buy burgers, and you can't do anything at Burger World anymore because of those stable coins.
In the UK, there's hundreds of thousands of people in the streets protesting the mandatory digital ID that is starting on January 1st. But Americans are not protesting in the street because they don't even realize what they have in their pocket. They think that digital ID is a good thing. They don't understand it pings the government every time they take it out and use it. And they don't understand what it could become, that it could link them to a global identification system.
You know how the Real ID is there to make sure that the establishment has control over you and can shut down your life at the snap of a fingers? Well, guess what? Rand Paul's doing something about it. Chairman Rand Paul introduces the Safeguarding Personal Information Act of 2025. Real ID is effectively creating a national ID card with no limit on the personal information being shared between all 50 states, the District of Columbia possessions, and territories, said Chairman Rand Paul. My bill repeals this dangerous mandate and restores the privacy, due process, and First Amendment rights stripped away in 2005. The government should not have a dossier on every American. You should never have to show your papers to travel freely within your own country or enter a building your tax dollars paid for.
90,000 lives. That's how many people have been killed through Canada's Medical Assistance in Dying program, or MAID for short, since it was legalized in 2016. 90,000 lives snuffed out, not by accident, not by war, but by a system that's supposed to protect people. And the worst part, this isn't slowing down, guys. It's speeding up. Canada's euthanasia program is now the leading cause of death in some provinces. More than cancer, more than heart disease.
I will always tell you the truth.
The Washington Post and other fact checkers have found that Donald Trump tells more lies and falsehoods than any president in either party in history. The count is over 20,000.
Yeah. So wait, are you saying that only under the circumstances that it's between the dinar and J-Proof would you ever buy J-Proof?
Oh, no, I have some. I did buy some. Stu, I'm so sad. You sent me a message right after it launched, and it was like 0.0001 cents or something. And I was so busy that whole week that by the time I looked at it, it had already gone up like 100 times. So I didn't get too into it at the beginning.
Yeah, and then we had our retracement, and now, so we had that unorganic, enemy-inspired pump over Easter weekend. Ironically, over Easter weekend, that the enemy decides to attack J-Proof. And they attacked it by buying, and then that brought people into a pump trap, of course, and then it hit 200 million, and then of course they started systematically selling off. A couple of these, like enemy, very hostile wallets actually sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses. They lost hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure that they retrace that thing all the way down sub 50. And now, if you look at the long-term chart from launch until where we are right now, which is a floor of about 6 cents, it's just a perfect, organic, nice upward trend. Holders are sticking around, actually increasing. So I really am happy with what I see there as far as stability is concerned, and it's doing exactly what it was supposed to do. And it's actually backed by something, because it's backed by resentment. It's backed by patriots. It's backed by an army of dissidents and people who've had enough with this bullshit.
Backed by resentment. That's so good.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. I mean, resentment can be a utility, Jeff.
I never thought about it.
Yeah. So it's not one of these pump and dump meme coins. It's not one of these scams that these Jews run, and people like Dave Portnoy and people like Donald Trump and people like, Javier Milei or Melania, your first lady, Eric Trump. I mean, these people are serial rug pullers, and they pump just like you saw J-Proof do, but except for when they hit their top, which I don't think 200 million is the top by any means for J-Proof, but when they hit that, when Dave Portnoy or when Eric Trump or when the Hawk Tuah girl decide, well, that's enough, or they're insiders that got in, pre-release, which there was none of that going on here, and all the soul scans are available, they just pull the rug, and then they just run off with your bag, and then you're like hurt or really pissed off for a while, and then it's like you find another one, and then you get your hopes up again, and you go.
Did you see his face? That's the best thing I've ever seen. People didn't even care. Oh, I'm crying. That's going viral.
Then I say to Copilot, tell me about Stew Peters' venture in cryptocurrency. The answer, Stew Peters' cryptocurrency venture centers on a token called J-Proof, a project widely described by independent analysts and reporters as a politically charged anti-Semitic meme coin with multiple red flags around legitimacy, transparency, and intent. List lack of transparency and red flags. Peters allegedly holds the majority of the token supply, a classic hallmark of potential rug pull schemes. No clear utility, roadmap, or governance, making it indistinguishable from a pump and dump meme coin. No adherence to standard crypto project practices, such as audits, transparent tokenomics, or independent oversight. Bottom line, Stew Peters' J-Proof token is not a conventional crypto venture. It's widely characterized as an extremist anti-Semitic meme coin with serious legitimacy concerns, high risk of financial exploitation, and no credible technological or economic foundation. Do you have a timeline on market price of J-Proof? So let's look at the bottom line here, and it is really shocking. Take a look at this range in value. What the timeline shows overall, across all sources, early spike up to 20 cents, sharp collapse to fractions of a cent. Wow. We're talking here about 0.004 to 0.006 dollars worth of this coin. Profoundly disturbing. If you had bought in at 10 cents or 20 cents, and now you're down to 0.004 to 0.006 dollars with your life savings. But of course, in typical Stew Peters mode, he says, blame the Jews. Risk notes. Unverified supply and developer holding 80% plus of tokens. Market cap often listed as $0 due to lack of verified circulating supply. $0. You're buying a coin which has a market value of $0.004 at this time from a company that has a market capital of $0. I mean, come on! I'm laughing, but it's terribly tragic if you put money into it on trust. But Stew Peters will just say, well, it's those Jews who did it, not me. Everything I've got here I'm offering is legitimate and bona fide, and et cetera, et cetera. But the Jews caused it to fail. Okay, do you believe that?
Oh, that's everywhere.
You nasty beast. Oh,
I'll
in
get
my
you
eyes.
if
I'll get.
This is the Mike Adams Bright Eon AI, and I think you ought to consider how much double talk there is in Bright Eon, putting itself forward as the bastion of truth. So in this case, I ask it, what do Professor Jeffrey Sachs and Warren Buffett say about Bitcoin? And the answer is Professor Jeffrey Sachs and Warren Buffett on Bitcoin, a critical examination of institutional distrust and financial sovereignty. 1. Jeffrey Sachs' skepticism, Bitcoin as a tool of financial warfare and institutional corruption, which it is. Factually, that's what it is. Warren Buffett's hostility, Bitcoin as rat poison squared, which it is. Factually, it is. Buffett's partner, Charlie Munger, has gone further, calling Bitcoin disgusting and contrary to the interests of civilization, which it is. It is the precursor to central bank digital currency. Anybody with a brain can see that. Anybody with a brain knows that it is backed by nothing substantial, but by nothing fungible, by no factual goods and services. It is not an investment. Every Bitcoin is a pump and dump operation. It relies on the next sucker. So now watch as Bright Eon, the bastion of Mikey Bot Truth, goes into double talk and then starts giving reasons how this is the champion of alternate economics somehow. And that is impossible. It is not any such thing. And then they even try, and then Bright Eon even tries to say that somehow hidden in all of this factual harangue by Sachs and Warren Buffett and others, there's hidden the message that, well, you know, there is an alternative here in Bitcoin. It does, in fact, point toward something liberating. Somehow the currency of libertarianism and anarchy liberty. What hogwash. What absolute absurd double talk. Catherine Austin Fitts is on the same page as Warren Buffett and economics professor Jeffrey Sachs at Columbia, although her criticisms are not phrased as pungently as theirs. So Copilot says, yes, Catherine Austin Fitts has repeatedly expressed strong skepticism toward Bitcoin and broader cryptocurrency initiatives, often framing them as tools that ultimately benefit large financial players rather than ordinary holders. Yes, indeed. They benefit the big players in providing the huge amounts of electricity they require and the very expensive computers they require. For providing this blockchain system, which is a financial security system for transferring large amounts of money. And even at that, it's not foolproof. Supercomputers, like the new quantum computers, could beat it. But putting that aside, quite simply, it is as close to criminal fraud and jail time as you can get without actually getting there. These are wooden nickels that they are selling, which have value only to the extent that the next sucker comes along saying that the wooden nickel has value. The only redeeming property of Bitcoin is the blockchain security system, but there are other ways of providing security as well, since far more money changes hands through the credit card system, which is also digital, and that works. So if you're starting to suspect that Bitcoin is actually shitcoin and a big scam, you're getting on the right wavelength.
I can promise you this: I will always tell you the truth.
The Washington Post and other fact checkers have found that Donald Trump tells more lies and falsehoods than any president in either party in history. The count is over 20,000.